What if one day the world stopped seeing you, not with anger, not with hate, but with silence? This year, during Pride Month, I didn't feel seen, and neither did my daughter. After days of being stuck in bed with allergies, thank you, Texas, I finally felt well enough to leave the house. No spa appointments, no lunch dates. I did something oddly simple. I took my daughter shopping, not because we needed anything, but because we needed to feel normal again. To walk under bright lights, wander through colors, and maybe, just maybe, find a moment that made life feel less heavy. But that moment never came. Instead, we found something else: silence. Just 1 year ago, our local mall was alive with pride. Rainbow flags in every window. Love is love in bold typeface. Colorful t-shirts, rainbow socks, frozen yogurt topped with tiny sugar hearts. It wasn't just marketing, it was recognition. For me, a single lesbian mom raising a daughter in Texas, that kind of recognition meant survival. But this year, nothing. No flags, no posters, no rainbow display, no social media posts from brands, not even a clearance bin of last year's leftover Pride gear. It was like someone pressed delete. As we walked past stores that once made me feel welcome, my daughter tugged on my sleeve. She's just a kid, still in elementary school. But she looked up at me and asked, "Did Pride Month disappear, Mommy?" She didn't ask because she's LQB plus herself. She asked because she remembers how I used to smile in June. She remembers the sparkle in my eyes when I stood in front of a rainbow window display. She remembers me telling her that visibility matters. And this year, it was gone. I didn't know what to say. I just held her hand. Inside me, something cracked. What do you tell your child when the world quietly decides your family no longer exists? A few years ago, I had hope. I truly believed we were moving forward. That change was slow, but steady. Now I see silence. Not accidental, not random, intentional, calculated. No one screamed, "Go away." They just deleted us from boardrooms, from marketing decks, from political talking points. Because neutrality is easier than taking a side, and erasure doesn't make headlines. I passed the same brands that once wrapped their logos in rainbows, that proudly posted pride everywhere. Now, empty windows, quiet aisles, no voice. And I had to ask myself, was it ever real? Or was it just seasonal marketing? Were they allies? Or was it just about revenue? Toward the end of our shopping trip, we found ourselves in a tiny candle store, tucked away in the farthest corner of the mall. And near the register, taped to a shelf, was a small handwritten sign, "Still proud, still here." No colors, no flashy fonts, just 5 words, scribbled in pen. And yet, it struck me like lightning. While I sniffed candles, my daughter looked up again and asked, "What if people don't want to see these things anymore?" This time I didn't hesitate. "That's their choice," I said. "But I'm still here, I'm still proud, and I'm still your mom, just like always." She nodded quietly, then whispered something I'll never forget. "That means you're someone who doesn't disappear." Last year, our front door had rainbow streamers. My daughter helped me plant a flag in the yard. It wasn't loud, it wasn't meant to provoke. It was just our quiet way of saying, this is our family, and we're proud of it. But this year, our door is bare. The flag is gone. Not because I'm ashamed, but because I'm exhausted. Pride doesn't feel like celebration anymore. It feels like a battlefield. I wasn't surprised when the big brands pulled back this year. Corporations follow money, not morals. When consumers get tired of woke marketing, they vote with their wallets. And brands, they retreat, fast. Not because they hate us, but because they fear losing the neutral middle. The shoppers who don't hate or support. They just don't want to be forced to choose sides. And maybe part of that is on us too. Sometimes I think our community gets represented by the loudest, most extreme voices, the ones who turn pride into shock value, who demand acceptance in a way that feels like aggression. Last year, I took my daughter to a parade. It was supposed to be beautiful, but instead I saw signs I couldn't explain, outfits I couldn't describe to a 7-year-old. Her eyes, confused, unsure, and in that moment I realized I had made a mistake. I didn't want pride to be something she had to shield her eyes from. I get it, not everyone is like that, but society doesn't separate nuance. One act of extremism becomes the symbol for all of us. And suddenly, pride becomes a burden, not a banner. Inside our own community, I see the split growing wider. Some want conversation, others want confrontation. Some want to be left in peace. Others want to burn down the system, and stuck in the middle are people like me, single moms, parents, lesbian, just trying to raise our kids without fear, just trying to live. Last month, my daughter came home with red eyes. She told me another kid said, "Your mom only matters on TV in June." She didn't understand what that meant, but I did. We're raising a generation that sees LGBTQ+ as performative, as something that pops up for likes, then disappears. That broke my heart. Not the missing rainbow flags, but the loss of trust, the loss of authenticity, the way our community is represented and misrepresented. So this year, I stepped back, not to give up, but to rebuild. I started listening more, speaking less, teaching my daughter that pride doesn't have to shout, it just has to stand, with dignity, with consistency. I chose to stop playing the media game and started just being me. Maybe you're thinking, Claire, doesn't that sound like surrender? I don't think so. I think it's strategy. Like any smart brand knows, sometimes silence protects your integrity. I don't need to yell to be proud. I don't need approval to be visible. So now I ask you, if pride disappears from store shelves, if it's no longer trending on TikTok or Instagram, will it disappear from our hearts too? That's the terrifying part about silence. Not that it screams, but that it convinces people we never existed. But here's what I choose to believe. Visibility doesn't need a budget. Pride doesn't need a parade to be powerful. Sometimes it's a handwritten sign. Sometimes it's holding your child's hand in a quiet mall. Sometimes it's choosing not to disappear, even when that would be easier. I know what politics in Texas are doing. I see the fear creeping into schools, stores, and everyday conversations. But I also know this. We survive by adapting, but we thrive by showing up. So if you're wondering why all the rainbow flags disappeared, if you're hurt by the silence, if you're afraid we're being erased, let me say this clearly. I'm still proud. I'm still here. And I will keep showing up. For my daughter, for myself, and for anyone who's ever wondered if they deserve to be seen. Because in a world trying to erase us, presence is resistance. And love, when shown out loud, is the quietest, most powerful revolution we have.